Well, hello everyone. This is Roger from Miami Gardens coming at you again. It's been so long. So much has happened. Barack Obama, well, President Barack Obama has been inaugurated. He has signed the $787 billion stimulus package. So much going on. But I'm not here to talk about politics today, y'all. I'm here to talk about dating. And I have a question. Should we as gay men think about retooling the rules of dating? I mean, we know the basics, right? We know, for example, that if you invite someone on a date, that you are expected to pay for the date, unless, of course, you make other arrangements. We do know, and by paying for the date, I mean paying for dinner. If you're going to the movies, you should be the one paying for the tickets, and so on. We do know that you need to get some consensus as to what the other person likes and enjoys because that way you have a good time. The last thing you want to do, for example, is go to a seafood restaurant when your date is allergic to shellfish. You don't want stuff like that to be happening. Also, you want to plan properly, particularly in these economic times. You want to make sure that you don't overextend yourself, right? So you want to make sure that you're financially prepared for it and emotionally prepared as well, so that you can have a good time once again and get a deeper insight into who this person is. And of course, you want to make sure that you go on a date to a place where the environment is conducive to good conversation, because you don't want to be screaming over each other. You want to be able to hear what each other is saying so that you can get an insight into who this person is, and that you can get and they can get some insight into who you are as well. And once again, have a good time. We also know that in terms of conversational content, that there are some three things you should avoid, what I like to call the PRW, right? No politics, no religion, and no work related issues, especially if you're not really having a good time on your job. You don't want to be talking about how sucky, for lack of a better word, your job is. You don't want to do that on your first date. And you definitely don't want to talk about politics. Even if you are an atheist, you may not necessarily want to reveal that if you don't feel the time is right on a first date. And you don't want to be talking about your politics either. Those are some no-nos. But there's a fourth element to that in terms of conversational content that I think a lot of us are not addressing when we go on dates. I'll give you an example. In I want to say mid-January, I went on a date with this really, really cool man. Um, what I was able to garner from him, very focused, very driven, and I really enjoyed our conversations. We chatted on the phone about 4 or 5 times. We finally met up at a cafe, and we were just talking. We were having a good time, laughing, cracking jokes, and then he just switched the conversation over and started talking about what he wanted to do in the bedroom, how he was in terms of sex, what he enjoyed. I mean, he got really explicit. To at one point, I started to look around to see if anyone was listening to us. I mean, that's how racy the conversation became. And one of my mantras for 2009, one of my, if you want to call it New Year's resolutions, is to be more forthright with people and to speak my mind. Of course, I'm going to do it in a way that is appropriate and in a way that I don't, I try as much as possible not to offend the other person. So I said, no, I am not comfortable with the way this conversation is going. He needs to slam on those brakes a little bit. So I stopped him and I said, hold on. I said, we were having such a good time. We were talking about the Grammys coming up. We were talking about, at the time, we were talking about our favorite movies and our favorite films. And we both enjoy house music tremendously. So we were talking about our favorite DJs. And then he just switched over to this whole sex thing on our first date. And I said, that just inappropriate. Well, we apologized. We finished drinking up our finished drinking our coffee and so on, and then we left on good, on a good note. He called me later on that evening, and he apologized again, and he said that, well, he didn't mean to go there with me, but he thought that since we were having such a good time that he could, number one, and he said number two that nowadays that's what's expected on first dates, that he thought that most guys would want to know what's to be enjoyed in the bedroom and so on, so they can see whether or not they want to take it to level two. And I'm thinking to myself, where did he get that from? That not this guy. Okay, I don't want to be talking about sex on the first date. There is so many other things besides politics, religion, work-related stuff, and how you enjoy sex in the bedroom that you can learn about a person. You don't have to go there. Is what is my view. I expressed this situation to some of my friends, and they had the audacity to say that I was old-fashioned. Can you believe that? Me. So I'm saying to myself, Am I really old fashioned? Is it old fashioned to believe that talking about sex on the first date is kind of inappropriate? Gentlemen, even some of the ladies, what do you think? Because I feel like I was in the right, and I felt like I was justified in letting him know that I was a little, I thought that the conversation was becoming a little bit inappropriate. And the sex thing should wait at least till maybe the third or fourth date when you kind of feel that chemistry building, not the first date. Definitely inappropriate for me. So, let me hear your thoughts. Am I old fashioned? Thanks so much for listening, guys, and this is Roger coming at you again from Miami Gardens.